Theft Auto has a surprisingly long history with Nintendo. GTA 1 and 2 are on Game Boy Color, then there's GTA Advance on the Game Boy Advance, GTA The Chinatown Wars on DS, one of my favorite games in the series, and Rockstar were very good to the Switch 1. Red Dead Redemption, LA Noire, and Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy The Definitive Edition, finally giving Nintendo a mainline, fully featured 3D GTA game. And how was it? Not great! When the game came out, GTA ran worse on the Switch than it did PlayStation 2. Constant dips to 20 frames per second, very lackluster visuals with a lot of TAA making them even blurrier, and it really wasn't ideal. What's more, the art style was completely crushed. Vice City lost its purple hues. San Andreas was looking like GTA 4, just all grey, whereas the orange and the fog, it was all just gone. Thankfully, this was addressed in a very big patch. This patch added classic lighting, and that's selling it short really. The classic lighting basically makes the color grading very close to the original, but it does way more than that. The lighting is completely overhauled, but there's also a bunch of atmospheric effects added. And you can still toggle back to the old lighting if you want to see how bad it was, but I would never do that for actual gameplay. It's just a curiosity, because it really was atrocious then. The update basically gave these games their vibe back, and they made the Switch 1 version much better as well. The frame rate still wasn't locked at 30, but it was way better than it used to be, and the resolution did see a noticeable bump. Still a little bit blurry in areas, but a night and day difference compared to the original pre-patch version. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, and I'm sure you've commented already before watching this far into the video. Oh wow, the Switch 2? Running a PlayStation 2 game? A consistent frame rate? Say it's not so! It is so. Look at this. GTA The Trilogy is running absolutely perfectly on Switch 2. And by perfect, I mean it's meeting the frame rate cap and the resolution cap the Switch 1 version had at the ceiling. It's a really boring line now. Just constantly 30 FPS, very few frame time spikes. Look, there's one, and it's just flat again. And just to go back to how it used to be, look at these frame time spikes. Ignore the frame rate for a moment. Look at the spikes in the frame time graph. That's how it used to be. And this is what it was like after the patch. Still quite consistently spiking that frame time, and now we're pretty much just entirely flat. But this game is more demanding than it seems to be. They basically remastered the GTA games on Unreal Engine 4, so even though they look quite similar to the PS2 versions on Switch, there is a lot more going on under the hood, which does partially explain the poor performance on Switch 1. But regardless, that is all gone now. And when playing in portable mode, I think this is genuinely a really good way to experience these games. Because I'm sure a lot of you haven't at this point. They're quite old now. Maybe some of you weren't around when they came out. Maybe some of you missed them for whatever reason. And I think this is a really good way to experience them. And for everything the Definitive Edition did wrong, there were some good gameplay quality of life improvements. The weapon wheel from GTA The Chinatown Wars on PSP, that's where it debuted by the way, not GTA 5 or Red Dead, is here in the Definitive Edition, which is far better than just cycling through your weapons until you get to the right one. But I think the most drastic overhaul is that right stick is used for the camera, and if you go back to the PlayStation 2 games, not so much. And with that is also the ability to move and shoot at the exact same time. You can do this in free aim if you want to, or the classic lock-on, it doesn't really matter, and it really does make these games feel a whole lot more modern and more in line with GTA 4 and GTA 5. The Switch version even has gyro controls, and for the most part, they're okay. The vertical axis is very good. For some reason, this is just really fluid and in sync. The horizontal one is a bit more finicky. I've tried adjusting the settings, I'm not really sure why this is the case. But the vertical one you can just move in any direction you want, and the horizontal one, if you try and make just a microscopic movement, it's actually quite hard to do that. It's good for the big, broad ranges, but just lining up those smaller shots, for some reason horizontal isn't good at that. You'd think it'd be the other way around. Load times have been vastly improved too. Basically anything that isn't the intro screen doesn't exist as a load screen, it's just a small blip, and the actual intro screen itself is quite a bit faster than Switch 1. I also found great use for the Pro Controller too with the GL and GR buttons, because for whatever reason, looking behind you when in your car or even on foot is mapped to R3, so clicking in the right stick, and that's a very awkward input to hold down, so putting that on either GL or GR works wonders. but also being able to run while moving the camera, because usually you hold down the B button or keep tapping the B button to run, and then you lose your thumb on the right stick. So putting that on GL or GR is a great benefit too. It also works with the charging grip for the actual Joy-Con, not just the Pro Controller too. So that's a really nice way to play if you're not just playing in handheld mode. So when playing this in the modern day, with the patch from last year, on brand new hardware brute forcing all the performance issues, you get a pretty solid version of these games. They play great, they look relatively good, and the performance is locked. Of course, if there were a dedicated Switch 2 patch, I'm sure these could do 60 FPS at a way higher resolution, but this is what we have for the time being. And I've been playing this a lot in my free time. In fact, I've played through all of GTA 3 and Vice City on the Switch 2, and I'm currently making my way through San Andreas, and I have had such a great time. These are incredibly important games to the industry. GTA 3 was a revolution for the open world genre. Basically every open world game you play now owes something to GTA 3, and it holds up remarkably well. It is a bit more basic compared to Vice City and San Andreas. There isn't a whole lot of a story. A lot of the missions are basically like shoot this guy, blow up this car. It's missing some of the grandeur that Vice City and San Andreas have. Like for instance, in Vice City you get the most powerful weapons really early on, and it doesn't take much time to be shooting people from a helicopter, or carrying a remote helicopter with explosives, or all that stuff. And then San Andreas is just absolutely massive in every way. The map is huge. The customization is huge. You can change CJ's hair, his outfits, you can customize the cars to a ridiculous degree. You can make CJ buff by going to the gym, or make him gain weight by going to fast food restaurants. It's so ambitious that to this day, San Andreas is quite often seen as the most ambitious GTA, even though it's a PlayStation 2 game from many, many years ago. My personal favourite in this trilogy though is Vice City. It's a huge step up in storytelling from GTA 3, and I adore the 80s vibes in this game. It's hard to imagine it without that purple hue, but you can if you turn the classic lighting off, and it's an abomination. It's not even really just an iteration of GTA 3, like there's some big steps forward for the series here. Tommy Speaks, whereas Claude wasn't even really a character. There's interiors you can go in for proper scripted story sections. You can buy property all over town, which is quite experimental, and that property has their own set of missions you can do. Vice City is just one of my favourite open worlds. I love this place. So it's all looking pretty dandy, right? 3 incredible industry-defining games that hold up really well thanks to a few quality of life improvements, and the performance is rock solid. It may be a little bit blurry, but it's still quite playable, especially in handheld mode. So are there hang-ups? Well, there's a couple of hang-ups still, yeah. This is a very strange thing that I can't say I've experienced in many games, but for some reason, every now and then, it's not always there, but in the bottom right of the screen, you can see a line with what I think is just corrupted data down there. It's honestly not too noticeable unless you're trying to look at it, because most of the time you're looking dead forward rather than at the bottom of the screen, but once you see it, it's kind of hard to unsee. And speaking of things at the bottom of the screen that are kind of hard to unsee, every now and then, the shadow of your car seems to drag along a texture from the floor at the wrong rotation. So like, look at the patch of grass here. It looks strange, right? I don't know why it behaves like this, and I bring the camera closer to the car because of it, because it's just, that is quite distracting. I don't know why it's like that. So there is still stuff to patch in GTA the Trilogy. They're probably done with this game now. But if they did patch it, hopefully dedicated Switch 2 features would come, like a 60 FPS mode, 4K, and whatever else they want to do, like fixing gyro, or even adding mouse support. But I think these games are in a pretty good place now, and I really enjoy playing through them again. So, if for whatever reason you've missed out on these games, maybe you didn't grow up with them, maybe you had Nintendo consoles that didn't have them, or whatever else, I think now is the time to try them. These are incredibly solid, they hold up really well, and the performance is good on Switch 2. But yes, it could be even better, but you're left with a respectable way of playing these 3 iconic, fantastic games. So take that brand new console you've just spent a bunch of money on and play some PlayStation 2 games, baby. Take notes, Square Enix. See you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
I'm having that.